For months, McLaren has sold you an image that's almost picture perfect. Two young stars, friendly banter, smiles in the paddock, a team united under the papaya livery. But if you look a little closer, that glossy photo isn't the whole story. Behind the cameras, there's a pressure that only grows when a championship is within touching distance. And right now, Oscar Piastri holds the slimmest of edges. A lead that once felt comfortable, but has been whittled down to 9 critical points. Remember how? He had 22 in June after Canada. That buffer evaporated as Lando went on a tear, winning 3 of the last 4 races and making the margin between them as thin as a single race result. When the drivers sit in identical machinery, the smallest decision, a lunge into turn 1, a slightly earlier pit call, a radio message that doesn't land as intended, can decide the title. That's what makes the dynamic here so dangerous. It's no longer just about being fast. It's about the calculus of risk versus reward between teammates who once seemed invincible together. You can feel it in the way Piastri speaks after races. His post-race comments after Hungary didn't focus on the podium or the race winner the way you'd expect. He made it clear beating Lando was his priority, and that kind of laser focus between the drivers who share a garage changes everything. Think back to Silverstone, where Piastri publicly seethed after losing a potential win because of a safety car penalty. That's not the idle frustration of a backmarker. That's the hunger of someone who thinks this could be their one shot. Now add to that the tactical chess. McLaren split strategies in Hungary. One driver on a one-stop gamble and the other on a more aggressive 2-stop plan. And the result was a high-wire duel that almost turned catastrophic. You saw Piastri closing in lap after lap. You saw a lunge so bold it nearly produced contact. For fans, that's thrilling, but for team principals and engineers, it's a hair-raising moment where the championship could have fallen apart. I want to hear from you. Quick poll. Do you think a title fight like this destroys team harmony or ultimately makes both drivers better? Vote in the comments. Harmony or harm? And while you type that, if you like these deeper takes and want more episode-style breakdowns of the biggest F1 stories, subscribe to Fast News F1 and help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Your support lets me keep doing detailed pieces like this. Finally, tell me in one sentence which moment so far you'd call the real turning point in this battle. Hungary wasn't just another race on the calendar, it was the match point in a set that had been building for weeks. McLaren rolled in with both cars at the sharp end, but they didn't play it safe. Instead, they split strategies, Lando going for the one-stop gamble, Oscar opting for the aggressive 2-stop. On paper, that's just a tactical variation. In reality, it was a recipe for an on-track showdown that could make or break their title hopes. Early in the final stint, you could see it unfolding. Piastri, armed with fresher tires, was methodically reeling Norris in. Lap after lap, the gap shrank. This wasn't reckless driving, it was precision hunting. Every braking zone, every corner exit, Piastri was measuring Lando up, figuring out exactly where the strike could happen. Then came turn 1. The move itself was as bold as anything we've seen all season. Late on the brakes, down the inside, close enough that the papaya paint jobs nearly overlapped. The fact they didn't touch was either a testament to their skill or sheer luck. And that's the kind of moment that lives in a championship fight, a fine line between heroics and headlines for all the wrong reasons. What stood out wasn't just the move, but what happened after the checkered flag. Piastri didn't talk about the bigger picture of the race, didn't spend time reflecting on Charles Leclerc's win. Instead, he made it crystal clear that beating Lando was all that mattered to him that day. That's not disrespect. That's the mindset of a driver who knows the title might come down to these inter-team duels more than anything else. And when a driver frames the narrative that way, it tells you the rivalry has crossed into a personal territory. McLaren can call it healthy competition, but to anyone watching closely, the stakes have shifted. This isn't just about maximizing team points, it's about personal glory in a car that might never be this competitive again. So let me throw this one to you. Was Piastri's lunge in Hungary pure hard racing, or was it a risk to far? Type racing if you think it was fair play, or risk if you believe it crossed the line. And while you're down there, hit the like button if that moment had you holding your breath, and subscribe to Fast News F1 so you don't miss the next chapter in this brewing storm. Pressure in Formula One is never just about the next corner, it's about the bigger picture. And right now the picture is framed by one undeniable truth. This year might be the only shot either Oscar Piastri or Lando Norris gets at a world title. That's not me being dramatic, that's the reality voiced by people who've been in their shoes. Take Juan Pablo Montoya, for example, a driver who knows exactly what it feels like to see a title chance slip through your fingers. His view is blunt. The 2026 regulation overhaul is coming like a tidal wave, and no one knows which way the current will turn. Mercedes is rumored to have strong progress in the internal combustion side of the new hybrid package, but the battery technology, the other half of the equation, is still an open question. And if a brain like Adrian Newey at Aston Martin cracks the code first, the whole competitive order could flip overnight. That's why Montoya says the window for McLaren's dominance can slam shut after 2025. Think about that from a driver's perspective. You're not just fighting your teammate, you're racing against time itself. Every point you leave on the table now is one you may never get back. And with Verstappen drifting out of serious contention and Ferrari and Mercedes unable to deliver consistent threats, there's no outside enemy to focus on. The only real competition is across the garage. That's when the battle gets sharper. We've seen this movie before. Hamilton versus Rosberg in 2016, Senna versus Prost in 1989. When the enemy is wearing the same team colors, every pass becomes a test of nerve, and every team meeting is layered with strategy, subtle mind games, and maybe even a little mistrust. For Piastri, that explains the frustration we saw at Silverstone when a safety car penalty robbed him of what could have been a win. You could almost hear the clock ticking in his head. For Norris, the mission is equally urgent. Turn the tide before the momentum slips away again. Both know they may never be in a better car at a better time, and that's the exact cocktail that turns friendly rivalry into something much more combustible. I want to hear from you. If you were in their shoes, would you push flat out for the title now, knowing the future's uncertain? Or would you play the long game for stability? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you're following this fight as closely as I am, make sure you subscribe to Fast News F1 so we can track every twist in this story together. Managing to Hungary title contenders under one roof is one of the toughest challenges any F1 team can face, and McLaren is right in the middle of it. Zak Brown, the team principal, insists publicly there's no animosity between Piastri and Norris, and on the surface, that seems true. There are no shouting matches in the garage, no cold silences at press conferences. But if you scratch beneath the surface, the signs are clear. Both Piastri's engineer, Tom Stallard, and Norris's engineer, Will Joseph, have noticed the conversations getting more intense, the focus sharpening to a razor's edge. This isn't about hostility. It's about two drivers fully aware that only one can be world champion this year. Historically, teams have struggled to find the right balance between letting teammates race and stepping in with team orders to protect the bigger picture. McLaren's strategy so far has been to allow the racing to happen. It keeps fans engaged and shows faith in both drivers' maturity. But moments like that, daring lunge in Hungary, serve as a reminder of the thin line they're walking. One small mistake or misjudgment could lead to a crash that ruins the entire championship. And if that happens, it's not just points lost, it's trust lost inside the team. Now, here's a question for you. If you were in Zak Brown's shoes managing this rivalry, what would you do? Would you let them race freely and trust their judgment? Or would you impose strict team orders to avoid a disaster? Type race if you believe letting them battle is the way to go, or order if you think team orders are necessary. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Fast News F1 and hit the notification bell. We're aiming to reach 1,000 subscribers, and your support really helps keep these deep dives coming. Plus, share this video with your F1 friends who want to stay ahead of the biggest stories this season. The next 10 races aren't just about who's fastest on the track. They'll be a psychological endurance test as much as a driving challenge. Oscar Piastri needs to keep his nerve, avoid costly mistakes, and hold on to that slim lead. Lando Norris has to apply relentless pressure without triggering the kind of self-destructive clash that could hand the title away. It's a delicate dance of aggression and caution where every lap can swing the momentum. For McLaren, the team's role is critical, balancing the strong egos, letting the rivalry fuel performance, but keeping it from exploding into disaster. History shows this is one of the toughest balancing acts in Formula One, with few teams managing it well over the years. What happens if McLaren nails it? They'll deliver their first driver's title in decades. A story of triumph born from a fierce but controlled inter-team battle. But if they fail, it could become another classic implosion, where the driver's hunger for glory burns the team from the inside out. The irony is both Piastri and Norris remain publicly respectful. No social media snipes. No passive-aggressive radio messages. But beneath that respect lies a rivalry that could define a generation. So here's the big question for you. Who takes the title this year, Piastri or Norris? Vote in the comments and tell me why you think your pick will come out on top. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Fast News F1 with the notification bell on. Your subscription is really important to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers and keep delivering deep dives on all the biggest F1 stories. As the season heats up, I'll be here with you every step of the way, breaking down every twist and turn in this intense McLaren showdown. Thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts in the comments.